that we
Nine? You ready?
9 o'clock, you good, Frank?
All right. Good morning, everyone. It is 9 o'clock on May 3rd, 2022. We'll call the Wright County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, here we are in our brand new boardroom, and welcome everyone. Nice to see a lot of people here, and you can spread out and not be too crowded at all. So our first order of business is the minutes. And I have a couple of corrections or changes, but
well, go ahead.
okay. So on page 3 of 7, on the last sentence in the second paragraph, it should be the 2 precincts in St. Michael. And then on page 4, the second to the last paragraph, that last year the board had met numbers from the census that showed a growing imbalance in the county, which that's good. But then it said that there were 500 more people in St. Michael and 800 more people in Otsego, but that was just actually last year that they were added 250 homes and 400 homes. So approximately, we know at least that many people got added. And the last sentence, Houston reached out to our cities and townships. Just add townships. And then, am I missing the page? I'm missing my page. It was the page about when we visit the cities and townships in our district, if there's more representatives, that is blatantly unfair. And I can't find it right now. But anyway, it was just, I think we could just strike that sentence because there was the only 2 representatives, 2 commissioners in the 1 district. So if everyone's okay with that.
All right, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes with modifications as stated.
I'll second it.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Vetch, seconded by Commissioner DeLyden. Is there any more corrections? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Minutes are approved. The review and approval of agenda.
Madam Chair, just one thing, a point of clarification. Initially, it was posted for the planning and zoning item B1. It was initially listed as Cokato, but French Lake Township is the correct location.
You're a little quiet, Mr. Kelly.
My apologies. Got away from the mic a little bit here. Just a point of clarification on planning and zoning item B1. Initially, that was listed as Cokato, but it is French Lake Township is the correct information. So just wanted to verify that.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda with that clarification.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Vetch, seconded by Commissioner Flatter. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And Agenda is approved. Consent agenda. Would anyone like to remove anything for further discussion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Ketchmark.
under letter A, administration, number 1, just for a brief discussion,
All right.
and I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with that one item
I'll second that.
held for discussion.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Ketchmark, seconded by Commissioner Vetch. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. Commissioner Ketchmark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to point out that I recognize that there is a lot of public interest, and we've heard some in the room here about machines and voting and different steps of the process. And I'm looking forward to learning more about this particular machine that we're going to be using. And then we have an upcoming meeting where folks are going to come in and talk about voter integrity, and I'm looking forward to hearing feedback on that as well. So I just wanted to make reference to that. This is a big purchase for the technology, and I want to get more familiar with it so that we can speak to it when we're asked about it. And I have been recently about omni ballots. I've found that there's different vendors for these machines, and I want to get familiar with all the different models.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
these are assisted voting devices. These are for the people that are hard of hearing, deaf, blind. So that, I mean, this is not for the regular public to use. This is for very specialized use only.
The assistive voting devices. Yeah.
And that's what this is for, assisted voting devices. So for those that have issues voting regularly.
Okay.
So basically, Commissioner Ketchmark, you were just pointing out that you're looking forward to getting more information about this as time goes on, but
Right, and it's come up with the public, and we know they're coming up later this month to speak on the whole process.
And Madam Chair, and
Yeah.
I appreciate Commissioner Ketchmark pulling that off. And there's so many names of so many different voting devices, and I feel like there's some people are lumping others with different ones, and there's concerns about certain ones and not about other ones, and trying to delineate all of them from the public so that they're not unwarrantedly reacting, I should say.
So I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second it.
motion made by Commissioner Ketchmark, seconded by Commissioner Delyden. More discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. That item is approved. Moving on to our timed items, we welcome Mr. Virgil Hawkins.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Board of Commissioners.
Morning.
4 highway items this morning for your consideration. The first one is to approve agreement number 22-52 for Highway 19 pavement preservation project in Joint Powers Water Board utility work on 19. And this agreement has been approved by the Joint Powers Water Board, and it's some utility replacement that'll happen south of our one-way pair project, but in the same construction year this year. But it covers the funding participation and construction.
All right.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve agreement number 22-52 in the utility work in the one-way pair on County Road 19.
I'll second it.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Vetch, seconded by Commissioner Delyden, by a hair. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. That is
Okay.
approved.
Thank you. The second item is to approve resolution and MnDOT cooperative agreement number 1050038. And this agreement provides for MnDOT to invoice the county for, there's some MnDOT furnished material on the one-way pair project for the traffic signals. And this will allow MnDOT to invoice us for those pre-furnished materials.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
I'll second.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Delyden, seconded by Commissioner Ketchmark. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Commissioner Ketchmark.
Aye.
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 All right. Resolution passes 5-0.
Madam Chair?
Thank you.
One quick question regarding that 19 area. That hasn't been put out for bids yet, has it?
It has not. We're waiting on MnDOT approval and DBE goals to come forward, but hopefully I'll be here soon to get a bid opening date set.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, the next item is to approve resolution in MnDOT agency construction agreement to provide for the MnDOT to advance Wright County $400,000 in safety grant money, and that would go towards the 35 roundabout project, which is planned for this year.
Madam Chair, I'll make a resolution to approve agreement number 1049873.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Delight. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Ketchmark. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Commissioner Delight.
Aye.
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 All right, resolution passes.
Okay, thank you. And the-
Question on that one?
Yes.
It's on 35, but where exactly on 35 is this roundabout?
It's at the high school,
Okay,
Yeah.
I was curious if that was the one. Okay,
and that's another one we're currently waiting on MnDOT approval to set a letting date, but it's still planned to get built this summer.
okay, thank you.
It'll be a wonderful improvement there.
So the last item, a highway item, is to award contract 2208 to Maple Lake Township State Park Road Account Project to Knife River Corporation of Sauk Rapids. Bids were received April 19th, and a copy of the bid summary is attached. And bids actually came in a little bit under the estimate, and the township has recommended to proceed and move forward with the project.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract number 22-08 for Maple Lake Township.
I'll
Second.
that.
Motion made by Commissioner Delight, seconded by Commissioner Wetter.
Madam Chair,
Any more discussion? Yes.
this is for by Nate Park. Is that where this one's going?
Correct. It's around, it's in that area. It's a couple of the roads around Nye Park area, township roads.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
is it's the entrance off of 8? County Road 8?
Let's see. I don't remember the exact road numbers, but I think that's one of them, and I think there's another one. There's two different roads that it
Are they
covers.
building the, I guess I didn't pay, in the information I didn't see, are they building it up to a higher tonnage on it, or is it, they gonna stay at the same?
I think it involves paving those, or gravel roads currently.
Yeah, I think they're 9-ton roads. Yeah, gravel.
I don't know. I guess they're township highways.
I doubt they would go to 9-10.
I would assume so, just,
I would think it'd be more 7-10 at the most.
Well, it was nice. It was 6.6% under bid. Or under estimate, excuse me.
Yes.
All right, we have a motion and a second. And it's not a resolution, so. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes, so
Okay, thank you.
thank you, Virgil. Lots going on again this summer. Or Mr. Mark Mattice, standing in for parts of. No.
And maybe
Good
Mr.
morning, Madam
Tice-
Chair, members of the board. I'm here to see if I can break your technology today. But prior to
Yeah,
prior to doing that, I'd like to introduce our new Park and Recreation Director, Ross. Second day today, so we're gonna throw him under the bus, see how he does. So Ross came to us from the city of Otsego, where he was the Director of Parks and Recreation for the last 10 years. Prior to that, he was with the city of Elk River and the city of Duluth. So,
okay.
Ross,
You're moving south.
he's trying to get to Arizona in about 15 years.
Thank you, Mark. Madam Chair, Board of Commissions. I'm excited to be here. It's been a whirlwind the last couple of days, but coming from Otsego, I've worked with Mark throughout the years and Brad and some other folks in the Parks and Recreation Department. So, yeah, really excited to be here. You guys have a very impressive park system, so I'm just hoping to kind of help out where I can.
Yeah, well, thank you. Welcome aboard, and I guess,
Madam Chair?
yes. Commissioner
Yeah,
Ryan.
he was, he'll be missed at Otsego. They gave him a little award, thanking him for all of his years of service. And then they moved him out real fast, so I'm not quite sure what that was all about. But anyway, yeah, welcome. I'm looking forward to working with you. Just keep an eye on it and make sure that Otsego doesn't get all the park money.
Yeah.
You didn't ask him if he's living in the right county.
No, I didn't. I think he told me he wasn't.
Oh, okay.
So, Madam Chair, I think is Matthijs going to make Ross see how well he knows the parks and give this presentation for you? Or are you going to get one last time get to present this?
Yeah.
I told him, go right ahead. He probably knows it better than I do. He read it.
Madam Chair. Madam
So,
Chair.
Yeah. Commissioner Letter.
Before he leaves, I was at the Albertville City Council last night, and they wanted to know why there wasn't a trail between Otsego and Albertville to 19.
Oh,
There is.
yeah.
There's on 70th.
Yep.
That's what I got told, so.
Yeah, there's one on 70th that goes all the way from
I think
10.
Goes right up to 19 and crosses the 70th, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh,
The only thing I can think of is that they were probably thinking off of 137.
well, maybe between their parks or something.
Well, there's trails all along 19.
So I just thought, oh, I'm sure you're going to push that one now.
Well, welcome aboard. We're glad to have you, and
Thank you.
yeah, and we're always glad to have Brad. So,
Thanks, guys.
it'll be a great.
thank you.
It'll be a great team.
Yes.
So, over the past 12 months or so, we've been working on a comprehensive master plan and vision for the parks and trails of Wright County and programs. Today, we're here to present that master plan to you for your consideration of approval. We presented this on March 14th to the Park Commission, and with the commissioner that sits on that commission, he's like, wait till we get in a new boardroom so we can test the technology. So here we are doing our best. So
Yeah.
just going to kind of go through the project schedule, our engagement process, do a quick overview of the master plan, then I'll offer up any questions and answers or lack of answers for that matter. So the project schedule kind of took off. We started in March of 2021, kind of did a review and assessment of our past planning efforts. That took a couple months. Went to do an inventory of our existing conditions, did an existing conditions report, did a gap analysis, and then did some priority recommendations, identifying different needs throughout the system. And then we prepared the document over that course of that year with reviews and stuff like that. During that entire process, we did different public engagements. I'm not real good with PowerPoint, so I talk real fast and forget to push slides. So we did a bunch of public engagement, kicked off in July with the county fair. We did press releases, used the county website. Our communication guy, that John, if you know him, he helped us out a lot getting the word out. We had postcards out at the campground. We had a bunch of social media. Had a fair booth, talked to different people, interactive mapping application on Social Pinpoint, and then we did an online survey. Took all that information, and started developing a draft plan. Had a stakeholders meeting, which was very well attended with the cities, townships, city park and recreation departments, and community ed departments in the school districts, trying to build those partnerships. Phase 2 engagement included an email blast, press releases, county website, and an ArcGIS story map, and then a survey 1, 2, 3 on prioritization of the ideas that we received. The master plan kind of lays out in 5 different chapters. So you got the introduction and overview, needs assessment, plan recommendations, implementation, and then a bunch of appendixes that are probably really the meat of it. So the purpose of the plan was to, I got to flip through my other notes here because I forget what I wrote. The purpose of the plan was to help guide the Parks and Recreation Department in the decision-making process for the next 25 years or so. That was the main purpose of the plan: get the public input, get stakeholder input, help us identify the direction of where we need to go as we continue to improve, grow, and meet public expectations. What Wright County Park System is basically we are here to provide a natural resource-based park, trail, and program close to home. We try to supplement the local and state parks, the local tot lots, local parks, and stuff like that. The destination parks, which are your state parks. We went and reviewed a variety of different plans as we went through this, including the transportation plan, long-range transportation plan we have at Wright County, the SCORP plan, which is state comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. It's done every 5 years. That plan is done in cooperation with different agencies and submitted to the federal government for lock-on funding for the state, and then filters down to agencies like us. The legacy plan, the Parks and Trails legacy plan, which is a 25-year plan that was adopted in 2008 with the additional sales tax for legacy funds. Greater Minnesota Regional Parks and Trails strategic plan. We are part of Greater Minnesota Regional Parks and Trails in District 4. Our land use plan through planning and zoning, our active living plan, and then a bunch of our old strategic plans. Wright County does have 4 regionally designated parks that are designated by Greater Minnesota Regional Parks and Trails Commission. Those are Bertram, Collinwood, Stanley, Eddy, and Nye. We have 2 regional trails, one in both are master planned. One had its phase 1 development last year, and that's the Crow River Trail that goes from the Carver County line, or basically connected to Loose Line up to Dayton, and then from Dayton is the Great River Regional Trail that goes out to Clearwater. So both are master planned, and one has actually had a little bit of development to this point. When we did the needs assessment, we looked at existing conditions and park inventory and our facility inventory. We did a condition assessment. We reviewed the access to parks. We reviewed the demographics of Wright County. We looked at National Recreation Parks Association for metrics for a nationwide comparison. We also did a peer comparison with counties of similar size that we felt. So we did Anoka, Washington, Olmsted, Carver, Scott, Stearns, were our comparison counties. Went through the public engagement, and then we have a summary of our needs assessment in here. Our existing inventory is laid out in front of you on different bar charts and stuff like that. Talks about what we have, conditions, things like that. Helps us devise our continued improvement plan in a long-term fashion. So there's maps in there that show our service areas. There are maps in there that show our location of parks, stuff like that. We also, in our peer comparison, we did a great job. I think, Wright County should be very proud that our peer comparison, that we're not behind. In some areas, we're actually ahead. One of the biggest values in my mind is that we have 111 more acres per staff than any other in our peer comparison. So we're doing more with less, and that's a big thing. We have 42 more miles of in-park trails in our peer comparison. We have, on average, 80 more campsites. So the closest one to us is Anoka County, and we have two more sites in Anoka County. So we just kicked their butt real hard there. So we do have a great system for camping in our parks. We have a great interior trail system. The big thing that lacks is our regional corridors, and we are well aware of that as we began master planning them a couple years ago. So with that development out, we'll be doing really a good job. What the heck is this slide all about? So this is a summary of our public engagement. Talks about perceptions, needs, desires, and things like that. Out of that, we developed 4 pillars that coincide with the legacy plan. They are connecting people to the outdoors. And if you look at your value streams, for Wright County, these actually tie back to your value streams at Wright County. We believe Parks and Recreation promotes the economic growth throughout the county. It's attracts residents, attracts businesses. So connecting people to outdoors promotes a safe and healthy communities. Acquiring land and creating opportunities empowers the use of land, property, and the environment. Taking care of what we have is the county infrastructure, and coordinating among partners optimizes civic engagement. So we think our pillars are identified in your value streams for the county. So getting into planned recommendations. We did planned recommendation for parks and facilities, for our regional corridor trails, for potential acquisition programming. I'll skip the last 2 because those are going to have to be devised more so as you move forward in your strategic plans and your strategic thinking rather than a large framework, which is staffing and funding. Is that okay? So here's a summary of recommendations for you. In the top, left, there are little icons there. The first one is taking care of what we have. Second one is creating opportunities. Third one is connecting people to the outdoors. And third one is coordinating partners. This recommendations was a composite of staff, park commission, and all the civic engagement. Out of this, you got your broken down into the 7 different categories that we have as far as timelines, short-term, long-term, and things like that. The crazy thing when you put this out to the public, you put it out to everybody, everything came as immediate needs, so we kind of tried to break that down. We had like high priority, short-term, everything came back high priority, so we kind of revised that to short-term and long-term planning. So thanks to IT, everything is an immediate need now. So out of those recommendations, I like to give Matt a hard time when I can, when he can't talk. Recommendations for parks and facilities, big concentration on maintenance and replacement of our comfort amenities. We're very proud of our natural resources in our park system. That's one of the biggest staff considerations I think coming forward that you'll see is kind of getting some of that more expertise in our natural resource environment. And our wayfinding improvements and then ADA accessibility facilities, which are all very important. So them are some of the high level needs right now. Regional corridor trails, like I mentioned in our active living plan, we did in 2011. It identifies a lot of trail connections and interconnectivity. That was a very hot topic for the public when we went through needs analysis as regional trails and regional trail corridors. So those should be continued to be on the front and foremost mind of you as a county board and the Parks Department as we move forward with that. There's goals for acquisition where we did gap analysis, and obviously we identified the southeast corner of Wright County, Franklin, Rockford type township, that kind of area as a high need. We are park deficient there. In your master plan, I don't know if it's in the slide, but it does show the gaps analysis very well to what it is. They're shaded maps. It's within the plan as you move forward there. Existing program comparison data. We have one recreation program staff member. She runs about 60 programs a year. With that, she does a great job. And one of the big recommendations is to work with the city's park and rec departments, community ed departments in the school district and build a partnership and collaborated effort to share resources and program together. I believe Brad kind of heading that up right now, him and Carson, and I think we had two.
Met twice.
Twice so far, and they have found some great resources to work together on. So looking forward to that partnership and collaboration maturing over time. Like I said, I'm going to skip the existing staff and comparison data because, as I mentioned, we do more with less, and we're proud of that. And we got a great crew in the Parks and Recreation Department. As Ross and Brad continue forward, I think that'll be reviewed and analyzed as we continue to develop and improve our park system, and go from there. I don't want to talk about staffing. Existing funding comparison data. We're doing fairly well on that. There's a lot of grant opportunities out there. We've identified them in the plan. We've identified some different options as we move forward with development and taking care of what we have. Where we at next? So then it comes down to implementation, the roles and responsibilities, project implementation checklists, needs for maintenance, project phasing, and plan recommendation organized by phasing types. That's kind of your last chapter. So what we did is we took all these initiatives and we said, does the Park and Recreation Department lead them all, implement them all, or are they like coordinating these efforts, or are they contributors to these efforts? We identified those roles and responsibilities for the Parks Department, other partners with Wright County, outside agencies, and things like that. So there's a good, I think it was excellent to do that, because you don't want to think we lead everything. You know, we do collaborate a lot, and we do have a lot of partnerships out there with different departments and different agencies. In your appendix, you'll see the general capital operation and maintenance costs, park condition analysis, Phase 2 feasibility study for the Crow River Regional Trail, summary of our Phase 1 engagement and Phase 2 engagement, and then we did do a wayfinding plan document because that is we're bad. Our wayfinding is just bad. And I take blame for that because I'm like, how do you get lost in a park? But you do. So Ross is going to fix that. He told me he's going to fix that. And then we do have we did develop a long-range budgeting tool. So it's a smart sheet that goes back and forth where we can put in 20 years of taking care of what we have and everything like that. So it's going to give you a 20-year capital outlook when it gets all programmed out. So it's a really cool budgeting tool, and I think can be used throughout some other areas of the county as well. So with that, I can open it up for questions. I know that was a quick and dirty summary of about 120 pages.
I was really impressed. I mean, a lot of work went into this, and really a lot of details. And I mean, it's comprehensive. Almost is not even big enough word for what this is. I think so. Well done. Yeah.
Madam Chair.
Yeah, Commissioner Ketchmark.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation and to the staff that helped with it. Something that wasn't mentioned, but I read, it's important to note that of the surveys, it looks like you have a 85% approval rate with the parks in Wright County.
Yeah, we're happy.
That's pretty high already.
Yeah, we thought that was pretty good,
Yeah, good work.
but we can do better.
So what do you have planned based on this for 2022 that we could see coming out of this?
Well, 2022 is pretty much, with the budget and everything's implemented. What the Park and Rec team will do now is our last strategic plan was done and adopted in 2016, so that's a 5-year plan. So basically expired in December of 21. With this plan, they can do and move forward with their next 5-year plan, which they will most likely present at a future meeting when, gives Ross something to do. So we'll do a 5-year plan, look back at benchmarks, look at what 2016 did, move that forward in the next 5-year plan, showing objectives based off of this.
Do you have any plans to meet with townships that the study showed were lacking park land in, to talk about their dedication funds and what your survey showed?
Well, I'm gonna leave that up to the guys that would probably have to do that. Brad, you wanna?
You want me to take that one?
Well, unless Ross wants to take it. I hate to throw him under the bus. I mean, the bus was coming. But.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
the Parks Department has worked with Franklin Township and Delano, and we've looked at some property in Rockford at one time also. So it's always ongoing. Land isn't cheap anymore.
Not getting cheaper.
No. So the Parks Department has looked at those areas. They've tried to work with some of the townships and the cities to coordinate to make it work for everybody. And those are going to be continuing, ongoing.
Madam Chair of the Board, good morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, Commissioner Delighten's correct. We have reached out to them, and we continue to work with them. As Mark mentioned, we have a couple corridors, or trail corridors, and that runs through that southeast corner with the Crow River Regional Trail. That's a big piece of that. Phase 1, as you mentioned, we developed and paved this past year. We've been talking with the city of Delano. There was a potential piece of property that we were looking at as a trailhead, as a facility for that. So those conversations are always ongoing. I would say that, have we specifically reached out, hey, what about parkland dedication, what about using it here, using it there? Not at this time, as we haven't had a whole lot of approach or a whole lot of opportunity. There was a potential opportunity that kind of fell through. We had somebody that reached out to us about a potential family property, but at this time, there just hasn't been a whole lot of movement. So they are definitely in the conversation when those opportunities arise, as well as the Parks Commission. So
Thank you.
don't know if that helps you or not.
No, I'll do what I can when I meet down there to say,
Right.
has anyone got any parcels that we can look at?
Right.
Because that money is there, and
Yep, and we have our decision-making principles as well that we bring. So anytime we get something that comes in, we kind of have our decision-making principles that you guys have seen. If you need a copy of it, we can get it to you. That kind of goes through, hey, does this meet what we're looking for? Does it connect to what we have? Is it a need that we don't have? So that way it helps guide our Parks Commission as well as our department in saying, yeah, this is a good way to move forward too. So So if you need a copy of those, let us know. We can get them to you.
Okay, thank you.
And then about the last 2 years, willing sellers come and go very quickly. I guess there's a market for buying land and houses. So we've had probably 3 or 4 in the last 6 months that have asked if we're interested. We said, yeah, let's bring it to the Park Commission. By the time we get the Park Commission agenda out, they call back and say, no, we sold it. So timing and patience of our process, because it takes probably a good year to a year and a half before we can run through the acquisition process. And probably takes about 6 months to even get through that approval process at your level.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Lyden?
to answer the Commissioner Ketchmark's question about what they're doing this year for 2022, there's 2 new playgrounds going in, I believe.
One.
Just the one at Otsego?
There's a playground, oh, so you're on our project list, remember, Ross? We shared it yesterday.
So I was going to mention.
I thought Monticello too, wasn't it?
Monticello is, we got a design and a grant application set in, so that'd be a 23 project.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yep, so we're doing a trailhead project at Stanley Eddy North. We have a paving project at turnaround at Bertram. We have a natural resource restoration at Stanley Eddy. I'm going off the top of my head. Yeah, we got improvements at BB with the deck. We got,
That's also, at BB, that's also some ADA adjustments?
ADA improvements, so we got the survey work done actually on Thursday. We're meeting out there to look over potential that, so we're hoping to get that spec'd out in construction this fall. We got ADA improvements and trail lighting at Nye for cross-country skiing. I got it somewhere. But yeah, we got a number of projects, and I can share that project with you if you'd like me to. So it's a little more detailed, so.
Madam Chair.
Excuse me, yeah, a lot of those projects we will notice that are in the master plan. So obviously, as we were going through this master plan, we were in the process of developing budgets. So all that, Mark made sure it all works seamlessly together. So that is the last thing. If you go look at our 2022 project list, you'll see some of the projects in this comprehensive plan. So we're gonna be able to move forward and already start going, yep, this is what this plan does and this is how we're using it.
Madam Chair, it'd be good probably for feedback for us and the people that took the time to do the survey, if you are acting on information from that you put a little flag on it and say, as recommended in that plan, we're moving forward with this.
Yep.
And everybody kind of knows that people are looking at that and addressing it.
Madam
And
Chair.
then we know it came from that.
Madam Chair, Mr. Commissioner, I think this is great. We're asking you for adoption of the plan. I think it'd be a great opportunity for us to put out on our webpage and social media that the county board has adopted the long-range plans, and here are the first initiatives, and that'd be what we're working on in 22.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to adopt the Wright County, Wright County Parks and Recreation Comprehensive System Plan.
All right. Motion
I'll
made by
second.
Commissioner Lyden, seconded by Commissioner Wetter. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right,
Thank you very much.
adopted, thank you. Great. Moving on to our items for consideration. So topics for discussion at the workshop next Tuesday, May 10th. Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tried to reflect a few of the items we know we had coming. We did make contact with the medical examiner's office who wanted to provide their annual report. Did send that out earlier. Send forward, also following up on the meeting room guidelines. Other topics the board would wish to add for discussion.
Go ahead, Commissioner Lyden.
One thing I'd like to add in there is just some discussion regarding gravel pits.
I was just gonna bring up the same thing.
I've been approached by a couple of different residents about our gravel pits, ordinances, permitting, all that sort of stuff. So I'd just like to have some preliminary discussions on that sort of stuff.
And I would like to add just a opioid settlement discussion. Central Minnesota EMS is, we've met for a couple of months and looking ahead to the settlement funds that are coming in, and perhaps taking looking at percentages or whatever of, certainly public health and the sheriff's office and another a third one would be the Central Minnesota EMS or the EMS regions.
Were you planning on having our public health person there?
Yeah, I mean, if we can get this on, let the sheriff's office and the public health know that this is, preliminary discussions, but it's probably going to be August or so before these funds are released, we think.
Isn't it over an 18-year time
18
period or
years,
so?
18 years, and I think they'll kind of front load the month funds. So there'll be larger amounts in the first years and then decreasing, but our EMS did take a look at, if you did just 18 years, how much each county essentially would be giving to this. There's 11 counties in our Central Minnesota EMS regions, but so it would be not just Wright County, but all 11 counties. Anyway, that's what we'll talk about. I've already given most of the information away right now, but
Madam Chair.
yeah, Commissioner.
I understand that the Fair Board members and some of the other entities have been in discussion about the roofs again, and I'd like maybe a follow-up discussion on what's been decided or at this point.
All right. So we're up to F.
Up to F.
Anyone else have anything?
Madam
Right.
Chair, for a future one this one I don't want to do it this month, but June or July. I'd like to get Central Minnesota Council on Aging and HHS to kind of talk about senior citizen services. I've had a number of people contact me about what's available out there in Wright County for those services and where to get that information, and I'd like to get myself better acquainted with it. So,
Yeah, that's a great topic. We used to have, a document essentially, with a list of all the services and where they were, and I haven't seen that for a while, so I think that's be good.
I believe it's still on the HHS website.
Okay.
I know there is a document out there somewhere.
Yeah, so that'd be good. Anything else? Otherwise, we're good for topics?
That'll keep us busy.
All right. Moving on to our committee minutes, and Commissioner Delyden, broadband, please.
Broadband Committee met on April 25th. A few different items were discussed. The grant application updates. The deadline was Friday, April 22nd, and we received 13 applications, 2 from township, 2 from cities, and 9 from the ISP. So there's definitely interest out there. The request was for more than what we initially had put out there, so we'll have to see what it all entails. Director Matthew Fomby is going to kind of score everything, put it together, go through some of the criteria on what we had requested. So we'll find out at our next meeting what we will fund or suggest to fund before the board, and go from there. And there was quite a bit involved in it. So our next broadband meeting is next Monday on May 9th at 11 a.m. Some of the other things we'd also talked about, we got draft requests for an RFI for fixed wireless and fiber. So we went through that to see if there's any changes made. Discussed about some of the towers, if some of those, like at the old government center, if it's being utilized, to try and find out any information on that. The recommendation for that was to approve sending out the request for information forms. Item 3 was fiber infrastructure and RFI review and next steps. One of the things I'm questioning is, if we put the pipe in the ground, will it get utilized? And Virgil left, and he had met with ISP's pre-construction for County Road 37 between County Road 18 and 19. And I guess the bids came in quite high, and they're not going to recommend that we put it in there, but we're going to have to figure out all those counties that have been putting the pipe in the ground. From my understanding, it hasn't been utilized yet. So I had asked him to talk with them to find out whether or not, if the ISPs would use them if we did it. So that's what I want to find out. I don't want to spend the county's money if it's never going to get utilized, and how it'll get utilized. So hopefully that he did have some information on that. And I guess that's about it. What I miss, Commissioner Batch?
No, I think you covered it quite well. Lots of things to take into consideration when we're looking at those broadband grants. A lot of it from the contributions from the municipalities/townships, the contribution amount from the ISP providers, the number of homes being served, the unit cost per home. A lot of factors that we're taking into consideration. And then is there other funding that would be better sourced for these projects, i.e. Border-to-border grants, things like that. So we're taking a lot of those factors into consideration, and we'll have a recommendation back to this board here in a couple weeks.
And there are some areas that we can't do because of a rural, what was that? There's a...
RDOFs.
RDOFs.
We're working on getting clarification on whether we can or cannot do grant funding and projects in those areas. We still are lacking clarity on that.
Yeah, you'd be surprised on how confusing the feds can be regarding some of this, the broadband. In fact, my understanding is that they haven't even come up with some of the criteria yet.
Yes. The one clarification I had on my calendar, I thought it was 11:30 that rescheduled for that meeting, and I'm hoping they can modify it back to 11:30 because I have a conflict and I hate to miss the first part of it. I will be able to get in there not till 11:15, not till 20.
You know, the 911 planning, this was a few years ago now, but we had the discussion about the towers at the government center, and it seemed at that time there was one that worked and one that, wasn't working, but Captain Hoffman would probably be able to give you that information pretty quickly. Yeah. He knew then. I just can't recall all those details because it was a few years ago, but yeah. All right. So,
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendations with that change of having the broadband committee meeting on the Monday, May 9th at 11:30. Lee, do you see an issue with that one at all?
I do not, as long as it works for your schedules.
Yeah, good, I get to sleep in then.
all right.
I'll second that
Motion
motion.
made by Commissioner Delight, seconded by Commissioner Betch. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Minutes and recommendations are approved. Okay. We are already on to Advisory Committee, Advisory Board updates. And Administrator Kelly, would you like to start, or we start at this end?
I certainly can start. Glad to be in the room today. Get settled into the new digs, and that's always new, so that's fun. Probably the biggest thing just to point out, the Wright County County Administrators meeting has been restarted. We had that last week. It was a nice opportunity to touch base with our city counterparts and some of the issues that we've been working through. Myself, Mark Mattice, and Clay were also able to attend, so good to build those connections. Otherwise, a lot of internal work going on right now regarding the strategic planning around centralization and some of those related items to that. So a lot of staff work taking place on that at the moment. So,
All right. Thank you. Commissioner Ketchmark.
Yes, Madam Chair. Well, Dassel Cokato Safe Schools met last week. a good group. It's interesting when some concern comes up, there's several different entities that come forward and assist in how to remedy those. There was a lot of conversation about custody disputes between parents and children that have made their way to school property, and how the attorneys and judges and law enforcement and school personnel are working together to try and resolve that, because it really puts a lot of people in a difficult spot that wouldn't need to be in that. But that's the last one for the year for them. Then they're going to be breaking camp for the summer. Fair Board met last night. One thing of note is that they had that Bluegrass Festival that was supposed to happen there this summer, and they backed out. They found another
Oh.
location, or the one they used in the past they didn't think would work is going to work. So they lost that one, but updates related to the fair to pass along. As site improvement wise, they've moved about 200 more bleachers, 200 more seats to the ground, so hopefully they can sell out some of the events and fill the seats up with the demo derby and tractor pull and that kind of thing. They had a pretty good deal from a local school that was changing out bleachers. They got the wrestling event scheduled. It's going to be SummerSlam indoors, I guess, there this year in the hoop building, so it won't be dependent on weather to spoil that for them. But they're looking forward to that. And as far as buildings go, that old log building that they're probably going to end up tearing down, I guess there's a monster hive of wasps in there that they're thinking somebody maybe on county end is supposed to eradicate. I don't know where that, I'll talk to some other people about that, but it's kind of a risk to anybody that's going to be monkeying around that building. I guess it's huge, and they're probably going to be coming back to life here pretty soon. But that's all I had then for the week.
All right, Commissioner Lyman.
On Monday and Tuesday last week, I went to both Otsego and St. Michael's valuations on housing valuations and stuff, their meetings. The name escapes me and what it is. Board of Adjustments. There we go. There is a great concern out there regarding the huge increase in valuations of homes. And a lot of people don't understand that that doesn't necessarily mean their property taxes are going to go up that 20% or 35%, whatever the valuation of the houses went up. So hopefully that those people that went to those meetings understood it, but there were some that even after they were explained to it, that they still had some concerns. So hopefully that will get better as we go along. It's just something that we're going to have to be very wary of when we get into budget season this year.
Yeah, no question.
And it's going to be tough also with the negotiations with the 7 unions too. So just wanted to let you know that there's definitely a huge concern out there, and some of those people I've seen at those meetings we'll probably see again in June at the county.
Thank you. Well, I mentioned that I was at the EMS, Central Minnesota EMS virtually last Friday. And a couple of updates. There's the main project for the EMS Regulatory Board is currently the Education Reimbursement Program. And they've notified that there's our agencies in our county, our region, is that there is reimbursement dollars for training EMS medical responders and technicians. So hopefully they'll get some takers. And the naloxone grant, EMS gave out 397 doses of naloxone to the agencies since January 1st. And 2 of them were in our county. There was Rockford and Wright County Sheriff. So they're going through them, and they're like $50 per dose. So they start to count up. And also they are working on getting the overdose maps. They're called OD maps of where, the concentration of overdoses are occurring. And there's a couple in our in our region that are higher. They also, Marion, our district director, has been working on peer support for the Minnesota Recovery Connection to increase the support in the region. And also, the EMS distributed a RFP for a training organization to start an initial EMT course. And it's actually started February 7th and complete on June 6th. And there is going to be the Albertville Fire Department is one who wanted the training, and they'll have a class in Buffalo in May. So trying to keep our people well trained and working one of our goals. So, and I guess, I'm going to Southside Township and South Haven tonight, and then Buffalo Safe Schools and Annandale Safe Schools coming up this week.
So, Madam Chair, working with staff to Commissioner Dahleiden's point, to kind of get something to present to the public that'll help them understand what valuations mean to what you pay in your taxes, as that is only one factor, largely determines your portion, not so much what you pay, and trying to get that education out there. So hopefully we can get something out to them in the next week or two once we kind of work on it. Staff's done a great job on putting that together. So hopefully I have something to react on that. Last week on Thursday, Central Mississippi Regional Planning Partnership met. I think we had a pivotal moment. I think we had a real deep conversation on what things we think the organization should do and what things we should not. There was a lot of things that when we came out of our Framework 2030 planning efforts, that there was things that were addressed as tasks we should take on, but it became quite apparent that the interest of the group and the interest of the public for some of those tasks, there just isn't any interest in it, and really trying to hone down the focus of the organization on just a handful of items, not this broad scope. Hopefully within a meeting or two, I'll be able to kind of rehone that message back as to what those are. But a lot of it is going to be in the land use, in in land use sharing information, and a lot of it's going to be transportation based and infrastructure. So with that, also last week I had my first meeting of our Energy Transition Advisory Committee. Great meeting. We elected Marshall Halleck of Red Wing, the administrator, as the chair of the group. We divided it into 5 subcommittees. I'm placed on tax base and community engagement are the 2 subcommittees I'm at. So we meet monthly as a large group, and then we meet monthly for each subcommittee as well. So lots of things at task. So, but hopefully some good information. We're going to get to tour a large part of the state because the meeting is going to move from different locations across the state, largely in energy communities. We met here in Monticello this month, and next month we'll be meeting in Becker, but there's a lot of other power plants that we'll be visiting, it sounds like, as the year goes on. Also then on Friday, I met with the senior vice president of Red Wing / Monticello nuclear power plants and had a discussion with them and giving us updates on what they have going on. Their goal is they're still working through the permitting process through the state to put in 14 more storage casks in Monticello. They're also not at the permitting point, but they're at the discussion point or looking into the possibility of adding additional casks in Monticello beyond the 14 if there was the ability to transport storage from Red Wing to Monticello. But that's still really high level and very conceptual at this time. But lots of good discussions. That's all I have.
Commissioner Wetter.
Okay, last Thursday, we had the Water Management Task Force meeting, and the members were all updated on the One Watershed, One plans, the 3 of them. And then we talked a little bit about the county water plan. It was written in 2005, believe it or not, but they've been able to piggyback onto other county or other plans, because of the One Watershed, One plans, they've been able to piggyback on those. And right now, they figure they can piggyback onto the South Fork Crow River, One Watershed, One plan. And we need that plan in order to continue to get money from Bowser. So that's the reason for that. Also, we talked a little bit about the 12-mile 319 grant, which is given to them by the PCA. They're going to have 4 years to spend $327,000 there, and they have to match with about $200,000. And it's going to be used mainly for the monitoring right now and also education. And then they talked about the ARP funding and how excited they are about doing something about the carp infestation. And so they're going to try some of those things. And then weed ID and the numbers, and that's going to be this summer that they'll really get into that. And I guess they've already hired someone to do the carp stuff, so it'll be interesting. And right now, the SWCD is putting out quarterly newsletters just on the online, so that get people more engaged. Last night I was in Albertville, and I already talked about the trail that they'd like between the two cities and parks, I guess. Also, I'm going to be in Hanover at the council meeting tonight, and it should be interesting because they're going to talk about the parking downtown. If anybody's ever been to Hanover any of the nights, they'll understand what parking's like down there. So it should be interesting. And that's all I have to report.
Is there anything else that needs to come before the board?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
We want to welcome our two former commissioners here.
Where's the bear at?
Yeah, where is the bear?
That made it.
Hey.
Here's your bear, Charlie.
Oh, yeah. There you go. So you're just all glad that I lost the vote, aren't you? This is beautiful, though. I know I came a little late for the meeting, but I didn't hear about the Wright County Fair. It's July 20th to the 24th this year.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that update yet. That's a good little esoteric remark there. Anyway, no, it's very beautiful, and
Yeah.
you guys look great up there, so
Oh,
thank you.
thanks. So, well, thank you.
We didn't need any makeup, Charlie? We didn't need any makeup? We didn't have any...
That's good.
All right. Well, it's good to see you two back for our first meeting, so, in the new building. Yep. All right. If there is nothing else that needs to come before the board, we are adjourned at, I can't see my clock here, 10:02.